Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my friend and philosopher, you are my knowledge, you are my wisdom, you are my everything, O Lord of Lords. Om Shanti, peace, peace, peace. So we are back to our reading of Narada's Way of Divine Love. And we were on verse number 35. Our discussion was going on. Now we know about the Supreme Love, but the question is that how shall we realize that, how shall I attain that Supreme Love? First of all, we should know the goal, where we want to reach. And secondly, we should also know how to reach. Most of us ignorantly do not know where to go. And by Guru's grace and your good fortune, when you know that you have to go to a destination where is there absolute bliss, absolute peace and joy, that information itself is big in life. It gives a direction to the life. But after that also comes the question, how shall I go? So, this Bhakti school of thought, Narada is saying that in that there is ways. Many Bhakti school of teachers define the ways of reaching God or reaching the ecstatic love for God in different ways. So we are reading this verse 35, which says, Tattu, but that supreme love, to attain, one must be Vishayatyagat and Sangatyagatcha. Two things. Vishayatyaga and Sangatyaga. Vishaya means, Gita suggests that Vishaya means sense objects. Always, when there is a sense object, because our senses are all open, sense objects and the senses, they get connected. Vishaya Indriya Sangyogat. And as a result of this attachment, I find either joy or I find suffering. When I find joy, I get excited. And I want to get it again, and again, and again. And this connection does not give me rest. Though I know that it is not giving me absolute peace, but we are helplessly drawn to have this again and again and again. That is the problem. And that brings association. Association brings similar type of thought. So, association, you keep your mind in holy association, you find that your taste of life is changing. You keep the same mind in all nasty thoughts, negative thinking. That mind will be colored in that, Sangha, association. So Vishaya may be there, you may be not interested in it, so it does not touch you. There may be good object of tongue, good object of the sight, good object of the nose, good object of the ear, but you are not attached to it. If you are not attached to it, it matters little whether it is there or not. You are not bothered about it. You will not be affected by it, its sorrows or its joys, its gain, its loss. You will be unaffected by that. But problem comes Because of this attachment, we get involved. Our involvement is the question. Our life suffering comes because of the involvement. Things happen, you see, observe, and get out. Unless you have to do the duty, hands up. But we cannot give up. As a result, what happened? We are associated with it, attached with it. And as much attachment, as much holding on to those things, that much is the reaction which we feel. So this verse was saying you have to do two things. One, first point is a Vishaya Tyaga. You have to renounce the Vishaya. Vishaya means the sense objects. And Sanga Tyaga, not only Vishaya, but also its association. Because it is damaging your spiritual life, it is damaging your peace. Main thing is that it is damaging the peace of one. Whenever we are getting affected by these things, our mental peace goes away. People could not sleep. There is nothing, we give up the association. Bas, you are done. But when our association with the mind goes, we get involved. So similarly, before going to spiritual life, we will have to know what is the danger. Where is my weak point? And the weak point is that I have my association with the objects of the senses. Association. And that association is strong. Because of that association, when I get it, I like it, I get it, I'll be happy. I dislike it and I get it, I'll be unhappy, angry, frustrated, and lost. So that's why it is said, first try this point. Is it sense objects which is dragging you from God? That give up that object. Discard very boldly. Have the courage to say, no, it is an obstacle in my spiritual life. That object is not for me. A diabetic patient, when it's very nice food or sweets and things are prepared, it's a Vishaya. You don't keep it. First of all, tyago, get out, take this thing out. And then if you take out this thing, but mentally you will think, oh, I may have it. Physically gone. But your mind association is brooding over that. Tell mind, no, this is not good. I don't want to think about that. It is poison for me. I won't take it. Then you find the pleasure of renunciation. Otherwise it's a torture. My heart wants, and because of this problem or that problem I cannot release it. What a miserable life I am in. Everyone is free. There is no misery in life unless we hang on to these 2 points. Vishaya, the object, which is momentary. This touch is momentary. How long you enjoy the food? Tongue, and nurture in the tongue for a few seconds. It goes down here. Then what is the food? Good food, memory. And that memory you will be asking, hey, I like it. I can get another bite, another bite, another bite. No? But not for health. But for my tongue likes it. Vishaya is this object of food touching the tongue, which is the sense and sense objects. So that whenever, rather for spiritual life, decide what is good for your spiritual growth. These are the things which are obstacle to my spiritual growth. Those Vishayas, get out. But you bring congenial things. Healthy food you bring. Or you bring something beautiful, spiritual, objects before yourself. A pure, say full moon night, look at that. It is innocent joy. It can bring you some inner peace and tranquility. Or something. Most pleasant will be the divine itself. So these two processes to be taken. Not only to give, first point is to give up the sense objects, not that sense object is, no one there finds any joy, but this joy has its limitation, temporariness and frustration, and bringing the urge to have it second time, third time, but never satisfied. Tell me, who is satisfied by getting the object and touching with the senses? You get continuously feed your tongue. Will you be happy? How much you can take? You can take one spoon and release for 10 minutes. And if you continue to take whole day, will you be happy? So there is no happiness in it. Because jattadagre, as is the beginning, sukhamiva, which appears to be like happy. And pariname, at the end it is all poison. That tamasa. And sattvika is which is at the bitter at the beginning, but it brings good at the end. That's called the sattvika sukha. So that was the point. To attain supreme love, 35 verse. Thought 2, a man must renounce the object of sense pleasure, vishayottaga, as well as attachment to them. Means that mental association. People may give up the thing, but mentally rejoice more. It's a fantasy world. People talk about the fantasy world. And that's called the markata vairagya. You give up externally, but mentally you are brooding over more. Therefore, give up both. This is second part is much worst. Because even you have your desire, have it. I want to have a Rasagulla and get it and say, hey, done. Not second time. But I have not given up, but I've given up even. But coming whole day I'm thinking, there is a good Rasagulla, I missed it. So I miss it. My association.
Like say, if I cannot take chocolate, I'm not taking it. But when somebody is taking chocolate, I see it and feel joy. Is that I'm enjoying it mentally, or I'm really feeling joy for that person?
If there are very good question that I am not eating, but I find that someone is eating and I am enjoying that. That's a better joy, because it is not your personal sense organs are not connected. But it may be, you will love that person, that's why that person is happy, you are happy. What is the condition of your mind will depend on that. Suppose if you love that person, so he is happy, so I am happy. So that's one type of enjoyment, not myself, but through somebody. So that is also one type of bondage. But in a broad sense, Thakur used to feed Narayan and would be happy. Because he says that I am feeding Narayana. See, that's a different thing. Because there is no question of sense object there. That is not the point. How my beloved, I love, he is happy. Tat sukha sukhittam. Because he is happy, so I am happy. So in him is Narayana, I am feeding Narayana. So Narayana is getting pleased, so I am happy. So this is different levels we can think about. It may be really a bondage, or it may be a good practice. So we read that so two things to be done. One is the object of the sense pleasure, renounce, and also the attachment to them, which makes that you sangatyagat, mental association or your association with it. Because again you get into association, again it drags down. Many people say, this is a very common example, Alcoholic Anonymous and such people. They are good people, they have once didn't like but fall into the Vishaya with the association. No? Drinking. Now understand I don't like it. But association, someone is drinking, it will instigate the same inspiration. And they fall into the trap again. So association also. That's why spiritual life associate not with them but with the holy. Satsanga. Asatsanga. Sarvataiva tajya. Yeah, it will say. You disassociate with company which takes you towards the worldliness or makes you forget God. And associate. You cannot stay without associating with something. But associate with the holy, with the noble, with the what is divine, what is spiritual, what is selfless, all these things. So, yeah.
But what if someone is in a situation that they can't control? Maybe they're like a young child and they live in a bad neighborhood, so they can't control who they associate with. Maybe not a child, but an adult. Like they don't have control over that. How should they handle that?
Oh, those. What is that question? That someone is got some.
If you are in situations where you don't have control over who you associate with.
Take out.
If you are in situations where you don't have control over who you associate with, maybe you have a job and you have to socialize with people who have different values.
Yeah.
how
So,
do you handle
yeah, there you have to be intelligent how to avoid that. If you can give up the job.
Can you repeat the question to the...
Yeah. She is saying that if I am in a situation where I don't like, but I am in that bad association, or to their standard, I am to give up my values. Is the question?
Different values.
Different values, but I am forced to live in that situation. What to do? Yes, if you have no other means that you cannot give up the job or you cannot avoid that association, you will have to be there in an intelligent manner, stay there for some time. Suppose you don't like drinking wine, and they are giving, and try to find one Coke available there. Alternate some soft drink. Soft drink is also available, maybe serving there. You take that and sip with them. Even if you cannot do that, I will say take the drink and touch your lip as if you are eating. Don't eat and then keep it. People do that. Here people full glass of thing they throw away. Even they have not used, only one sip or not. So you make a show like that, ha ha ha, hoo, and then don't associate there because it is not your calling. So it is to have.
Well, I was saying that, number one, I believe in prayer power. And God always shows how you handle it, you ask sincerely. Number two, maybe God is trying to get us adjusted to different situations, keeping your faith firm, which really strengthens us.
Yeah, good. It is the idea that we are to overcome this. No, how to do that? If we don't face this challenge, the problem, you will not be able to overcome. So it is difficult, but you have to be intelligent. I don't want to be like them, but I also don't want to make me so prominent that they will be targeting me only. If in a group of 10 people, you are isolated, then you will be the target of everyone's criticism and thing. So don't do that. Intelligently avoid that as much as you can. And if you can avoid perfectly, that's good. If you not, you go there, associate with them, be like them. For mothers, Holy Mother's advice is there. You have to behave in the material world as in the association you are for the time being. And that way you will be able to get the inner courage to handle the situations when you are facing. It's a art, and that way, and surrender to God, and internally you do your spiritual thoughts. So we have read up to this here, that Bhagavad Gita, we read a man who renounces certain physical action on page 84, in the top. In the Bhagavad Gita, we read a man who renounces certain physical actions, but still lets his mind dwell in the object of the sensual desire, is deceiving himself. That we discussed so long. No, you are giving up outwardly, but mentally you are brooding over that. No, then you are actually you are deceiving yourself. You do not know you are playing trick with yourself. You say, I have given up in front of all. And personally, whenever you get a chance, you do what you have renounced, you go for that. That means you are deceiving whom? By that you are weakening your own character. He can only be called a hypocrite. The Gita says that person could be called hypocrite. So he is saying that means the question is that you have to renounce and not think about that. People sometimes have to face the challenges, and for that time they have to do some action. But forget that. Don't bring that association again into your mind. Rather you bring good association. One is to be replaced, as Ramakrishna said. One thorn enters into your feet, you bring another thorn, a needle, to bring that thorn which is pricked inside. So you have to use satsanga or satsanga again, holy association again, unholy. Some psychologists call this repression, which according to them creates complexes. So these psychologists, they advocate expression, that is enjoyment of sense pleasures. That means they say, okay, don't suppress your senses, just let go. You should not suppress that. Some psychologists will say like that. So he says, but they may say this, but that is not the remedy. That is not the remedy. It is very pleasing. You go to some person who says, Are, you have your desire, it is legitimate. Go, enjoy. What is there in it? But that is not the truth. If you, this example, the fact that when a man yields to the desire of the flesh, he does not satisfy his thirst for enjoyment. He increases it. Furthermore, the senses have only limited capacities for enjoyment. The mind continues to desire, but the senses are no longer able to satisfy. When people become old, what happens? Desire is there too much to eat, but the body does not take. You are desired to read books, to see things, eyes becomes dim. Desire to listen to many talks and lectures, ear has become old, machine does not work. And like that, every organ has its limitation, goes down, down, down. So outwardly you see that he is not eating, he is not listening, he is not doing, oh, he is a Brahmagyani then? No. He is not a Brahmagyani. His desire, no, his desire is burning inside. So this is the point, that it should be very important to note that if you satiate the flesh, it will not go away from your heart. People may say, as I said, that some may suggest, psychologists may suggest, that it is good to not suppress. Suppression is bad. But suppression is bad means not indulging. That's why Hindu system is there. You get married, have a nice household life with responsibilities and duties and all these things. But don't indulge. So you just they give the example that putting the butter, clarified butter on the fire, the fire will not extinguish, rather it will make more flame, higher flame. So the mind continues to desire, but the senses are no longer able to satisfy when they become old, no? Senses, and that's why the big story is there. There was a king whose name was Jajati, no? And he enjoyed his whole life, only sense pleasures. And enjoying kingly pleasure, whole life. At the end, he became old, but he cannot enjoy anymore. The senses have become weak. Then he thought, but still I want. So they approached a sage. And the sage said, yes, there is a way. You can become young again if someone gives his youth to you, and he will be old. and he will be young. So who can do that? So his son came forward. He said that, okay, my father will be happy. I exchange your old age in me and you take my youth. And he took his youth because he has tremendous desire to for the flesh. And then what happened? And then he, at the end of that experience, his beautiful statement, "Na jatu kama kaman upabhogena sammati havisha krishna vartaiva bhuyayevo vivardate." Bhagavat says, "Na jatu," it does not go away, kaman, the desire for the flesh. Kama upabhogena, by satiating the desire. Like drinking does not give you joy eternal. So what happens? People go on drinking, and then don't get anything. Many of the alcoholic people, anonymous people, those who wanted to go, I have met them, they came to me. They said, I don't find any joy in drinking. But I do not know, I cannot stop my drinking. And if I don't drink, I cannot live that night. And when I drink, then I am not happy. Kama upaveguna na sammati, you don't find peace in that. But it is impulsive, it becomes impulsive to get out of that. So as if joy, we run after the fun and joy of life, but we get trapped into it and we don't come out of it, rescue it. So it is said that surely it must be admitted that this leads to frustration and resultant complexes. Now, Sri Krishna was a great psychologist. Modern psychologists sometimes may say, enjoy, don't suppress. Suppression is bad. And many people get bewildered by that because I want to enjoy and my psychologist is saying, go on enjoying, and you go on. But our ancient psychologist, Sri Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, says, he tells us not to be hypocrites. What is the remedy he suggests? He suggests, quote, "Truly, the truly admirable man controls his senses by the power of his will. All his actions are disinterested. All are directed along the path of union with Brahman." That means he tries to lift his mind in another level and enjoy there. Joy is not only in the sexual plane. Joy is in the other plexus. And there higher joy and higher joy and higher joy. So you lift. That is the yogi's process. They are not making us to give up everything and we be beggar and pauper. We don't understand what is called joy. But this is there giving an indication why you will be happy with the petty things. Get higher joy, nobler joy, or joy of the Brahman if you can meditate on that. But this is the struggle. You see, we think that Vedanta is very strong. He always talks of give up, renunciation. No, Bhakti also says, renounce. Taktena bhunjitha. In the Isha Upanishad, Isha Vashyam Midagam Sarvam. Cover this whole universe, thinking, seeing God. Teno takteno, by renouncing the worldly side of it. Taktena bhunjita, you enjoy the divine side. There is see the divine and enjoy. So therefore,
I fell asleep, Swamiji.
come.
I fell asleep.
That's okay, come.
I'm late. Shall I pick up my shoes?
No, ঠিক আছে, come. ঠিক আছে। বাস, এই তো, go and sit. So, there is a parable of Sri Ramakrishna. A man worked all day irrigating his field. After laboring for many hours, he looked at the field and found it is still dry. For all the water, he looked at the field all around, still dry. For all the water had run off to the rat holes. So this question is that all spiritual efforts go into waste. Because if we not tap those holes where the spiritual inspiration is stopped. It gets diluted. So here is a point, that means a mastery. We must have to master and understand what is what. So bhakti also, you see how much rational thinking is there. You have to understand what the sense objects are, what the sense objects can give, how the sense object, if we brood over that, how it makes you more passionate about objective things of the world. No? Whatever object you are thinking again and again, you become a slave of that object. So, therefore, will you be a slave or will you be a master? Decide that. And is there no joy in higher level? The yogis' joy. The yogis give up everything, go to the Himalayas. In this deep cold, we are inside with heater, this, that, still we say, oh my God, cold, cold, cold. And they are smearing some ashes in the body and meditating. How they are surviving? They are finding joy. Look at their face, they are happy. Because they find the joy not in the flesh only. And they understood that that joy is there. Vishayananda. Then bhajanananda. There is a joy, higher joy. By bhajan, by chanting the name of Lord, by praising or studying something. And then highest is the Brahmananda, when that mind goes into the highest top level, and then one identifies with oneself. So much joy. Joy, more joy, more joy, more joy. But we are like the rats. Ramakrishna gave the example. The warehouse where they keep storage of rice storage. Tons of rice is there. And because the rats will make a hole, so the storekeeper or the holder or the person who owns it, he brings half a pound of rice maybe and puts outside the periphery, outside the silos. And the rats come and bites one. Ha 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 ha, it is good, good, good. And they go back. They don't know. Again they come to eat one piece, one bite. Our life is like that, one bite, little bite, and joy. And then, poof, in 1 second it's gone. But if one ignores, I am not satisfied with one grain, get out. I am not satisfied with this grain, and this grain, and no, go, kut. And all the rats, they cut the wall and things and make his way and enter into the silos. He will be eating whole life, he will be not finishing, he will die there. His progeny will not be able to finish the entire stack of Brahmananda. Vishayananda to Bhajanananda to Brahmananda. So that is the point to understand. This association, very important point. That's why it is said that Ramakrishna said people are doing spiritual practice, but they don't find the result. Why? Because their things are going away. It is the water which you are bringing with much hard work. It is not be getting stored, it is getting drained out. Spiritual force, spiritual thoughts are not being retained in the personality. So Narada advocates not merely renunciation of the objects of sense pleasure, but of attachment to them as well. You see, two very important points. One point, it is so strong, that's why Hindu scriptures we sometimes make a sugar coating of it. Sugar coating means, okay, it is not that bitter. Yeah, it is good. But it is, towards the beginning, it is a bitter. Who likes bitter melon? How many people like? Most of the people do not. We like the sweets rather than bitter melon. But those who like bitter melon, that they are going to the healthy food. That's the point. But most of us will like to have which is sweet immediately, that gives. But bitter melon will bring good ultimately. So, though it is bitter at the beginning. So in spiritual life also, though austerity, little control, mastery, and then redirecting it to the holy company. So it is difficult, but this is to be done. So Narada's advocate, he is advocating that not merely renunciation, that I don't like it, give up, but don't brood over that also mentally. Huh? Thinking it is poison, I don't want to think about that. In the next aphorism, we find the positive aspect. So this is renunciation aspect. No? Tattu vishayatyagat sangatyagat. So this is the verse number 35.
Number what?
35.
35, okay, fine.
On page 84 ends,
Got it.
we are going 85.
I got it.
Ah. This, another book, is very scholarly. I should not go there. Oh my God. It is pages after pages. But those who want to read in depth, they can give 8 pages explanation is here. If I enter into it, then another 5 classes will go away. So let us restrain ourselves. Let us understand the fundamental point, what has been mentioned here, that Vishaya Tyaga, we have to learn in bhakti, to have para bhakti, supreme love. We will have to say, now whatever is connected with the senses and the sense objects, and gives us immediate joy, and then brings association, and makes me forget about God, it is to be renounced, it is to be given up. Give up. Be bold. I don't care for it. That boldness should be there. And not only boldness, then after giving up, your mind will say, hey, it was good, I am not having it. It would have been nice, I would taste a little more. No. That association also give up. It's a bold step. This is a negative way. Now the next verse, let us go to the next verse, which says, next verse says, Abhyabrito bhajanat. You see, this is the bhakti path is a positive way. Give up. How can I give up? My mind goes again. It runs for that thing. What shall I do? How shall I control my mind? I have no control over my mind. I do want, but I have no control. Then he said, okay, Abhyabrito bhajan. Bhajan means prayer, repeating the God's name, bhajan. Singing, that's also called bhajan. We call bhajan singing. So devotional music. So, and how to bhajan? Or repeating the holy name is bhajan. Abhyabrito. That means not bhabrito, means separated. Once I talked in the morning, and another I think in the noontime. Mean between hours passed without any positive thinking. That will not do. That moment I thought of God, next moment I will think of God. Next moment I will think of God. Next moment I will sing the glories of God. Next moment I will do the japa. Next moment I will meditate. Next moment I will do satsanga, holy association. That means keeping the mind constantly engaged, giving no gap. It runs in another direction. If you want that supreme joy, you will have to practice this. So it is, look at that. If the mind is kept constantly in one direction, mind cannot think two other things so strongly then. People talk about multiple tasking. This is a possible. Multiple tasking is when it is 5 ovens are there in the kitchen and you want to do 5 items. One is boiling, one is frying, one is this. You have all materials ready. You put the rice and let the rice go on. This is multiple tasking. and in another let the dal get boiled. Multiple tasking you are doing together, and you are standing there, you are frying something, you are chopping something. This is called multiple tasking. But if you give your mind little here, little here, little here, you don't do anything. You make mistake here, you make mistake there. So the mind should be kept in abhabrita bhajana. If the mind is constantly kept in some positive thinking, God's name, God's glories, God's discussion about God and spirituality, holy company, so keep the mind engaged constantly. Don't give any gap of the mind to brood over other things. That is the wonderful suggestion. That you see bhaktos do that. You can find that you go to Hare Krishna people, you will see that they are carrying the japa beads all the time. No? In there, they hang it here, and you will see that some sincere people, they are constantly doing that. Catholic people also, those are very devout Catholic, they also do the rosary and they repeat the name of Lord. So if you do in such a way that there is no gap in between them, then your mind will be automatically giving up this Vishaya and its association, you thinking. Because the mind is not getting an opportunity to think of those things. You are substituting yourself. Suppose one day when you get very much engaged in some work which is so heavily pressurized that you forget your food. How do you forget your food? How you forget that you have to take medicine? Oh, I am so busy, I forgot. That means if you make your mind busy with one thing, it forgets the other things. So therefore, this is one way. Supreme love can be attained. How? 36th verse. By uninterrupted and constant worship of God. Uninterrupted and uninterrupted is the same word. That's why in these scriptures they repeat too much. Our editors, those who edit the books in Hindu literature, they will cut it. It is why you are saying uninterrupted and constant worship. Uninterrupted means constant, is it not? So grammatically wrong, and you are using this English here. Why are you English using? Use only one, that is enough. Yeah, it is not so easy. You can Sanskrit, and this is practicing book. So when you are in scriptures, Hindu scriptures, they emphatically say in one place, now, even now, and of course now. They will emphasize in 100 ways so that it enters into your brain, that it is not that uninterrupted. Uninterrupted, yes, you have to tell uninterrupted. Grammatically, English is uninterruptedly and constantly. Why you say uninterrupted and constantly? What is the meaning? Redundant. But no. It's giving emphasis. Abhabrita. Bhabrita means space. One thought, another thought. There is a gap. But no bhabrita. Not any gap in your thinking about God. You think this moment God, and the second, third second, fourth second, don't give any gap so that the other thoughts raise their hood. When you get opportunity, then old thoughts, old impulses, they try to raise their hood. That's why it is said, if anyone can constantly keep the mind in holy thought, those thoughts will not will not have any effect in our life. It is not suppressing, it is elevating the mind. It is elevating. Suppressing means you just press it. Suppress, press it. You should not come. But you are not pressing. You are giving a new direction. It was thinking this way, you are directing. Your car was moving in one direction. You saw that there is a danger of another accident. You turn, speed is there. You turn your wheel, only direction you have changed. But the speed, the energy which is behind you will be working same. The same energy, people work to do harm to people, no? So look at that, so many people who are thinking of doing evil to others. Huh? They are day and night planning how to do this, what way, modus operandi, no? And also there are good people who are trying to save life, save people. They are also planning. Both are planning, but only giving a new direction. So this is called the 36th verse, very important verse for those who want to practice regularly. What it says, Abhyabrito bhajana. Bhajana, worship. Bhajana means worshipping God, praising God, repeating the name of God, japa, and Abhyabrito, uninterrupted and constant. Uninterrupted and constant. Constant and uninterrupted. And also, next verse, Swami has explained the two verses, 36 and 37 together. So I am reading the next verse also. And he has explained for 4, 5, 6 pages. What it says, Loke upi bhagavat guna sravana kirtanat, that is 37. 36 and 37. Loke upi, by hearing and singing the glories of Lord, Bhagavat Guna Sravana Kirtanat, even while engaged in the ordinary activities of life. You will say, where shall I get all the time to engage my mind in God, 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 God all the time? Abhyaprita constantly? I cannot. I will have to do my cooking, I will have to go the household job, I will have some duties and responsibilities. This second verse is very important. Even you are engaged in your duties and day-to-day activities, there also you try to listen to hearing of and singing of the glories of Lord. You sing some spiritual song, some spiritual chant, no? Even while engaging in the ordinary. Suppose someone is cooking that day and playing some music, spiritual music. That's good idea. But I said, don't do that. That because a different reason. Because so many people will be doing their own way. So not to break the tradition. Otherwise, when you are alone, yes, you are digressing your mind in noble thought. Your mind is thinking of something higher. Physical work, any ordinary work, when you are performing day-to-day chore work, duties, you can keep your mind in. Say people drive, no? That was very common practice. Nowadays things have become more modern. When driving, some people for job, devotees, they go for 1 hour, 45 minutes, half an hour. They used to make this CD, we used to sell the lecture CDs here. After Sunday lecture, they will collect their copy and they will put into their car and play the CDs and go on. So whole road, his mind is.
Maybe now there's someone watching driving on the YouTube.
Oh, maybe, yeah. So that is the way. You are doing your driving. That's your other work. It is loke opi. Loke means in this world in which we live with our duties and responsibilities, you are doing such thing. But where are you keeping your mind? Why not keep the mind in some uplifting thought? That's why in Hindu studies they suggest that memorize the Bhagavad Gita, memorize the Upanishads. You need not have to have a CD for that. Your mind is your CD. You just chant mantra.
But that is possible when you are driving or doing cooking like mechanical work. But when you are working at office or doing some intellectual work where your mind is involved.
Then you have to do that. That's a different idea. I am doing his work. At the beginning, you think, oh Lord, it is your work, so I am doing it. That also is a bhakti yoga. Suppose here, just for example, this Christmas is coming. Suppose suddenly Christ appears here. We are studying this book. And he said, hey, can you bring me one cup of tea, or say, bring something? You said, no, 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 we are studying. Or what will you do? You give up this work and run to prepare, because the Lord of the world has come to take your service. So if we think that way, I am doing His service, it is mind, forget God. But you are doing for Him at the beginning thought and at the end thought, that itself is bhajan. That's the Mary and Martha example. Both are pleasing the Lord. Mind is engaged, not in, there is no other, when you are cooking, you are preparing something, you are engaged in some office work, or very much deeply involved into the mental activity level. But at the, why you are engaging? To please the Lord. That thought should be behind. Why are you doing japa? To please the Lord. So if that thought is behind, then whatever you do, you may be continuously thinking that's best when you have no other option. But when you cannot do beginning and end, that we can do. So that
Still it will be constant.
constant. That will be considered to be constant. Then what happens, as I heard, that Swamis, our Swamis, we raised this question, what can we do? Then our Swami Bireshwarananda Maharaj, the 10th president of our order, he used to say, you prepare sandwich, Ramakrishna sandwich. You start, oh Lord, this is your work you have given me. I will have to do it fully concentrated on this work. I cannot take your name, so I am starting your work, pranam. And then forget Ramakrishna. If you forget Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna will be happy. If you finish what work he has given correctly, you did it. You did the correct haphazardly and go back to him, will you be happy? Suppose you are a boss. You gave somebody some work and he comes back with a worst possible way, half finished, half done, half cooked, and braka, I did it for you. Will you be happy? Or who have forgotten God but did the work perfectly and returns to God. This is service to God. So then that will be treated. He used to say, make sandwiches, Ramakrishna sandwich. You begin with thinking of him and get involved totally into the work. Forget God then that time. If you have opportunity, in between think, oh, I am doing for God. Why I am so focused? I am doing for God. I am doing for God. No? And then again get involved into God. And then that will be equally treated as karma. So, by hearing and singing the glory of Lord, even while engaged in the ordinary activities of life, that is to be another way. First point, best. If you can, sangatyagat, visharatyagat. That's the best. Next, if you cannot do that, abhyabrita bhajanat. Keep the mind engaged always in His name, singing His glories, thinking of Him. Third, if you cannot do that, then even while engaged in worldly duties and activities of your life, you Bhagavad Guna Sravana Kirtanat. You try to hear, keep your, headphone, to hear about the song, music, lecture, talk, and sing yourself, if you can, when even you are doing laukika karma, secular activities, even while performing secular activities, one can do that. So we will go for this explanation of 35 and 36 next day. And that next time we read. We have 5 minutes time. If any question is there, if not.
One question on that one only, that how to think constantly about God when in office work.
No.
No other question.
Okay, so how to, that we have discussed, how to. So 3 stages here. Already we got the 3 ideas. One very clear path, Isha Upanishad also suggests, Sangatyagat, Vishayat Tyagat, Sangat Tyagat. Vishaya means sense object. Throw away, I don't care for that. Sense objects. Sense objects means object of sight, object of hearing, object of touch, taste, tongue, all these. How? You cannot do that unless you have love for some God. And don't brood over those things, because you have tested it many times in life, but it didn't satisfy you. So it should not be making the same mistake to roundabout. If you cannot do this first, then come, some sages say that you can get it second, abhyabhito bhajanat. Uninterruptedly, constantly praising God and repeating His name. Bhajana. Bhajana means all types of holy company is a bhajan. Reading a good book is bhajan, because you're lifting the mind from this worldly thought to a divine thought. So, abhyabhita bhajanat. And third point, just we read, it is what? It is the lokeopi. When you are engaged in your office, or engaged in your cooking, or doing the chore works, or wherever you are there, you are try to keep your mind engaged in listening to holy songs or chants. But nowadays, Gospel of Ramakrishna is recorded. People listen to that, or Holy Mother. Audio book is available. And repeating the name mentally. Just keep your mind in the thought of God. So this is the positive method. Uninterrupted worship of God, or in other words, to keep the mind and heart in God constantly and unceasingly, is a stage to be achieved by practice of spiritual disciplines. So this is a practice, everyone gains it by practice. We may, first when you start, we may be doing, remembering one time and forgetting 10 times, no? But second day, if we continue, we will succeed 2 times and fail 8 times, no? Again you do third, 3 times I succeed, 7 times I fail, like that. The success rate will go higher and higher, and failure level will go less and less. As a practice. Even you have sometimes you have seen that you have done good, and suddenly it may fall also, like stock market. It's volatile. We call volatile. Mind is volatile. It depends on the grace of mind. So volatile mind sometimes be gracious and sometimes not. And when it is not, then we fall in trouble. But we need not be upset. This is the bhakti. Bhakti is always suggesting that you can do it by either this process or that process or this process. So, thank you all. So, we'll see you again at 7:30 for the nectar of supreme knowledge. To synoptic, we are doing the chapter, which chapter I forgot. 4th chapter, we'll be making a synopsis of 4th chapter. Thank you all. Jai Ma. Om Shanti, 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat, Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.